gonna work. Well, it appears YouTube is working. yeah, YouTube was having quite a problem yesterday, but we are live. Hopefully the internet can totally see us now, as YouTube likes to tell us. It is time for another episode of Titan's Table. We have quite a bit to cover since we have not talked about the Mulligan rule. It's Modern Horizons release time. It's gonna be a fun night. Someone has the video playing in the background that I can hear. Well, there you go. So, how is everyone doing tonight? I hope that everyone is doing very well. Well, we don't have to do introductions. We do introductions almost the whole time. But Alright, so we have Sfara. We have Sfara. We have a Grim Monolith, which is all black tonight. He's has no screen. Yeah. Someone still has their hey guys, someone still has their version of me playing. I don't know who it is. I don't know. Oh, okay, it stopped. It decided to stop. And we also have Mr. Undying MTG. How are you doing tonight? Yes, for sure. It's What? It's not on you. What are you talking about? It's on Undying. We're looking at his pretty face right now, okay? We're looking at his pretty face. Jeez Louise. Yeah. For sure. Well, you know, life happens for people, and that's... Yeah, YouTube has been having a lot of problems recently. Live streaming has not been well. Yesterday and the day before, YouTube has been having major live stream problems, and last week as well. Well, it gives you a 500 error code, so I'd call that a problem. Oh yeah, it's been bad. Oh yeah. Right. That's true. Hold on one second. People are saying there's no audio from the rest of you. Hold on. I don't know why. People are saying that there's an audio problem and that it's not working for the rest of you. I'm not sure why.
Hold on.
Well, let's see. Maybe it will work now. You guys should talk for a second. Let's see.
Sound check. Did anybody hear the loudmouth?
I can hear myself through. Hear myself through YouTube.
Sai says you can hear everyone now, so hopefully it's working now. That was odd.
You're odd.
I cannot.
Yeah.
Well, I am.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm
I appreciate the
odd,
compliment.
and you know it.
Who knows? You know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's a 50-50 shot. But how is everyone doing tonight? We'll restart everything that we just said. Yeah. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. You know, been off and on sick the last couple of weeks. One of the reasons why we've had trouble getting the show started. Eric had taken the last month off.
Yep.
But I'm alive and trying to get back into the buying and selling card business again after being sick the last couple of months. And,
it happens, you know?
That's where I am, and of course, just trying to be able to get out there and make content, hopefully. So,
right.
And I know I had passed it on to Sfara and asked her how the store was doing, and
yes.
I just heard a lot of good things about Modern Horizons doing well.
Store's doing great. Modern Horizons was great. Business is picking up. Commander pods are flying like crazy. Drafts are picking up. It's looking like we're getting into summer season, and we're doing the opposite of what we normally do. Usually you start to cool off for the summer.
Right.
and it
yeah.
feels like it's actually going the opposite direction.
That's good. That's a good sign. I mean, it's definitely not bad when a business is doing good. That's for sure.
Yeah,
How have you been Undying?
What's that?
How does it feel to be back to
Oh.
doing content and streaming and everything?
Oh, it's been great.
I
I
know.
actually had the most fun streaming I actually had this past Monday. It was just awesome. I think like everybody must have somehow read my mind because I kind of got the feeling there for a while that people were, I wouldn't say like not liking my streams, but I kind of felt like maybe it's the flavor of the month syndrome might have kind of taken toll because I got used to, averaging a certain amount of viewers throughout a stream up until January. I started seeing a slow decline. I'm like, well, maybe I suck.
Nope, algorithm change, brother. They really host it.
And yeah,
True.
but I mean, but the normal people that would show up, like it seemed like everybody showed up, and I'm like, oh my god, this is fan friggin' tastic. And then Vera showed up, and I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
And I thought I was like, oh, I know, I was like,
did.
aren't you supposed to be streaming right now? And
I did stop in and say hello.
I
You're
know.
always so shocked. Usually I'm there because you stream an hour usually before I start streaming, so I usually pop in, but...
I know, but you don't normally say anything. So that's why I was like, oh my god, there she is, making her presence be known.
Very true. But since we have not done Titan
I
Sale in the
just
past...
want to say that I have enjoyed the deck techs.
Oh, yeah. They've been good.
Well, I appreciate it. I know Jason does great work, and I'm hoping that mine kind of are at least somewhat as good as his, because I know he's a better brewer than myself. And
I don't know. I mean, that's up for debate. That's up for debate.
Especially the one I got coming up, the modern one I got. I'm sure people are gonna be like, it's trash, but
please say it's slivers.
It's just janky. No, I wish it was slivers.
What?
No, it's an
not
Esper
slivers?
deck. So
Ooh, I like it already.
Ew.
Yeah.
You had me at Esper.
Yeah,
Gosh.
I love that.
Where's the
I love
slivers?
Very
Esper is
janky.
the best color in Magic.
That's one of the very few things of blue I will allow in my life.
By the way, you want to know what the sleeper card in this set is?
Well, we haven't even started talking about it yet. But yes.
All right, I'm gonna hold it off to the side because nobody's
right,
gonna see this one.
All right, so we have not talked about the London Mulligan rule. And I'm curious. I've talked about it on streams, but I'm curious to hear everyone's opinions on it. Who wants to start?
Well, we know who wants to start.
I guess I'll leave it to Eric.
All right, I'm dying. You're up. How do you feel about the London Mulligan rule? I know you don't play.
I can start if you want. I can go first.
Go
ahead.
I'll be short and sweet. So then I'll let Grim have his hat in there and talk about it. But I'll just say real quick, just more or less to summarize my feelings of it. I don't hate or like it, but I do think we were kind of discussing some things off air, and I do agree with the fact that I think it's gonna make stuff overall a little bit more aggressive in regards to the starting of games and stuff like that. But I don't know. I guess like I said, I'm just kind of neutral on it. I don't like or hate it. I'm just kind of like, I don't know, because I'm not in the competitive scene anymore. So I know it doesn't really affect me all like that. But I guess if I was playing competitive, I might be a little more irked by it. But that's more or less where I'm at.
Yeah. How about you, Grim? How are you feeling about it?
I guess where I'm at is, look, I know what they're trying to do. What they're trying to do is get rid of dead hands.
Right.
They're trying to
combat that.
They're trying to combat the fact that the game uses a mana system that a lot of games since then have built themselves around an easier mana system. And I get that to some people the way Magic handles mana is archaic or clunky.
Yeah.
But you know what? My answer to them is, look, the land cards have become such a part of the game that I think that they have found ways to make it work.
Right.
And I don't think that they needed another a new Mulligan system to make it work better. Right. But I'm just saying before I give my full opinion that I know what they were trying to do with it. I know why they were trying to do it. I get it. At the same time, No, this system makes it so that combo decks, especially in Modern, especially in Legacy, are far too effective.
Yeah.
When you have decks that only need one or two cards to really start the combo and get the deck going, this gives everyone the ability to get those cards way easier. Like this,
And with serum powder,
yeah, it was serious. Exactly, and this so many cards in the game would never, and I don't mean standard, but so many old cards in the game were designed around the old Mulligan system.
Right, they were never designed
The
to
thought that this
be
would be a
handled with
Mulligan
the London
system
Mulligan.
never went into the design of the cards.
Right.
So the Mulligan system is not going to work for these other formats. It won't work for Commander. It's going to destroy Modern. Well, it's going to make Modern a whole new format. To me, it makes Modern and Legacy a whole new game in some ways. You know, maybe this type of Mulligan works in Standard. Although I'm going to agree with what everyone else said that even at Standard, it makes the format far more aggressive,
Right.
especially when you have a slower format like we have
Right.
now. Because I have been doing a lot of Arena, and the format is definitely can be a lot slower. This will make even a slow format more aggressive, but it's like and I know that they have some statistics. I can't speak right now. I know that they have some testing behind Modern. I don't know about Legacy, but all they did was test it on MTGO. Where's the real world numbers?
That
I
is
wanna
what they
see
are
them
going
test
on. They are basing
like
it
a
on
Modern
MTGO.
GP or something.
it's already been tested. And I'm gonna tell you how it's been already tested and why it's broken. But I'll let you finish, Grim.
Yeah, so that's so okay. So yeah, testing or not, I just think it's broken, and it just changes the game for these old formats.
Right, in the
It
Eternal
just
formats.
it makes it a different game. And the last thing I'll say is it makes it a different game because none of the cards were ever designed with this type of mulligan in mind. None of the combos that were maybe thought up over the years or nothing. None of the Commander was not ever designed with this type of mulligan in mind. So maybe it'll work for Standard, maybe, even though it will make the format more aggressive.
Right.
But I just don't see how it's going to work in these other formats. And I think that maybe they should just give stores the option of saying, we're running Modern. We're using the Vancouver mulligan, not the London mulligan for this event. Or we're using the London mulligan for this event, not the Vancouver mulligan. Or the Paris mulligan. I guess those are the three names of them. But anyway, that's kind of my thing on it. That's how I feel. I'm going to go with it's going to break the older formats.
And what do you think, Sfara? I know that you've been.
Does anybody remember the lovely old days of partial Parising in Commander? Well, now they've brought it back as partial Paris Light for Modern and other constructed formats. If you thought things were broken in Commander, wait until you see the OTK decks that are going to come out of Modern now.
I
mean that's true.
that's a good way to sum it up. That's a good way to sum it up.
The thing is what they have done is took a look at, oh, mulligans are just not working too well. Let's do this. Let's try this. And they don't realize that the Commander community realized just how broken sculpting your opening hand was. I'm just going to keep digging 7 until I get to the 2 or 3 cards I need to win the game as fast as possible.
Exactly.
And pitch the rest to the bottom.
Exactly.
Now they took the scry aspect off of that, so I can understand this. It's not as strong as it could be, but I definitely see it warping the hell out of Modern, which is a Mulligans Matters format. Also, this is going to favor the pros even more to win more in Magic, because the average player makes most of their mistakes in the Mulligan decision, and a pro player having that extra couple of card advantage is going to blow the water open for them. It's going to take their maybe they win 90% of the time, and now they're at 95% of the time on game 1 because of this.
Right.
You know, like that's hyperbolic numbers that don't necessarily exist, but it's going to inflate their win percentages even more and basically just push people further and further away. Now, some people could say learn to mull better, but that's actually one of the most complex parts of the game. And they've just made it more complex by now adding more cards. Like, okay, I'm going to shuffle. I'm going to go down to 6, but I draw 7. Then I put 1 at the bottom. Oh, wait, no, I don't like this. I'm going to go down to 7. I'm going to go down to 5. Oh, wait, I'm running Serum Powder and Modem now. Hey, look, I just drew a garbage hand and a Serum Powder. Ooh, let's sculpt my deck and make it even better on this mull. Let's exile this and take a free 7.
Right.
Okay, cool. Now I'm playing on a 57 card deck against my opponent. Oh my freaking god! Did they know what they were doing? That's so dumb.
That's the problem. Is I feel like they did not test it enough. They only tested it on MTGO, which is still something, but they did not actually. I feel like the amount of testing that they did was so minimal. It doesn't make sense as to why they would just say, oh, we tested it in paper for one format. Like, that is good enough. I think for Eternal formats, this is really not...
I'd say it's broken in Standard. It's gonna make aggro decks in Standard more aggro.
I actually think it'll be good for Standard.
I don't think so. I absolutely don't think so. You're talking about taking a fringe deck that wouldn't necessarily be good in the format and elevating it is okay, but taking a really strong deck, take Red Rush, and Red Rush wants to sculpt an opening hand with maybe 2 lands max.
Right.
And now they're able to actively do that and get their best cards.
Right.
I mean, it's gonna be slightly on the gross side. And the more cards you have in your opening hand for decision allow you to sculpt and say, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this.
Right.
And, like, I think this might actually make Red Rush the best deck in Standard now.
I mean, Red Rush is already very, very powerful in Standard. So.
Right, and I think it's actually going to get stronger.
Yeah. Right.
And, like, I don't play a lot of Standard, but I do follow the meta because Standard has always been my favorite format to follow.
Yeah.
I like the yearly change up, to be honest with you.
When
it was changing biannually, it was just a trash dumpster fire format.
Yeah.
But now that it's back, this upcoming fall, I think we're going to see a huge resurgence into Standard. And the reason I think this is we're finally going to see a lot of the sets that weren't designed to play together dropping out of the format, and now we're back onto the 2-year cycle with the core set back in, which really makes a huge difference. This means this year's core set will replace last year's core set right in time for rotation, and we're going to see, like, we're going to have the, I think it's going to be the creme de la crop perfect sweet spot of sets in Standard. We are going to see an explosion this fall.
Right. I think that the London Ball rule, I feel like it's good in Standard, but then again, when you already have broken decks and decks that already do so good, it just amplifies their chances. So that is a thing. I personally feel the worst part of it is they did no research into it. They put no, besides the MTGO. How long was it in MTGO?
Most of the testing was on Arena.
Right.
Standard.
Right.
That's what most of it was.
Right.
I'm not saying that they didn't test on MTGO Modern. They did, but I don't think nearly as much as the testing.
I think what they did with MTGO was do the 2-hand draw and then give the player the hand with the higher land was the first line of testing to see how did it sculpt the lands for people not getting mana screwed. And I can understand, like, the saltiest feeling I ever have in Magic is when I get mana screwed and I just couldn't do enough.
Right.
But realistically, this new Mulligan rule is going to allow people to build greedier decks with lower mana supplies.
It's going to allow bad players that don't know how to deck build, which is half of what MTG is, to be able to be a good player.
No, I think it's actually complete opposite. It's going to make bad players worse, and it's going to make the good players better, because mulligans are what matter, and the bad players mess up on mulligans.
That's also true. They have to understand the mulligan properly to be able to utilize it. So there is that too, right?
Even knowing how it works, like having those few extra cards, now they have to decide what am I pitching, rather than how is this 5 cards going to impact me? Do I need to go to 4? I'm not going less than 4. Leave it at the luck of the draw. Right. What this really does is, instead of playing 23 lands in this control deck, I can run 21 lands or 22 lands. Or this Red Rush deck was playing 18 lands. Now I'm down to 15 lands because I'm going to be able to sculpt until I get to my perfect 2 mana.
Right. That's true.
What about, I'm going back and looking at a comment from JJ in the chat. It might encourage more people to mulligan. That would lead to people getting smarter on the game. The old mulligan rule led to anxiety, which leads to overeating unwanted genuous and drugs.
I think it's the opposite. Encouraging somebody to mulligan,
right.
even when they have a decent keeper hand, encourages them to take a bigger risk on their opening hand. And now they have to make a tough decision as to what I'm going to keep. And if they pitch the wrong card against this perfect matchup, I can understand where that, like, forcing somebody to mull is one thing, but those should be the baby steps learned as you go. Now telling everybody, oh yeah, just keep mulling to 7. At the end, you get to choose which cards you keep. Just keep track of how many times you mulled. I could see somebody mulling 12 times, and before they realize they have no opening cards in their opening hand.
Yeah, right.
Like, what do you mean?
Right. Pretty funny.
Like, this isn't the way that it works, guys. This works.
I thought
the
you
way
just
that
kept
I
mulling
want it
until
to.
you got what you wanted. I thought,
Yeah,
I thought that was
exactly.
And as far as Commander, I mean, and I know they didn't really take Commander in consideration when they even did this,
Right.
but it's not anything Commander ever needed.
I'm going to chime in on that.
I'll just end quickly because you're much, you play Commander a lot more than me, but I feel like, your store is the command zone, so
just a little.
Yeah.
I just think that, hey, look, most Commander groups, and I don't know about super competitive Commander, but most Commander groups would let you get a free 7 anyway. So there's that, right? So, most Commander groups will be like, yeah, okay, you don't like your first 7, take another 7.
The official mull rule for Commander is your first mull's free, and then it's X-1. Bringing back any form of partial draw 7 makes the tier 1 decks into tier 0s, and the tier 0s into blowout decks. Like, there's already a red commander that guarantees a win on turn 4 with one of 2 cards in their opening hand. So in the commander format, having any type of partial at all is going to allow the greedy mana bases to come back, and those decks are just disgusting. You want to talk about gross. Talk about Nekazar mulling down to 2 cards just to get a red source and a Winds of Change, just to erase everybody's mulligan decision on turn 0. People are like, well, that's a bad play. I'm like, no, it's really not. Because if you could erase all the effort they just put into mulling, you could basically put them on tilt, because now they don't know where they're going to go. They're stuck on a fresh green. They have fresh 7.
Right.
Or a fresh X if they've greedily mulled down to the point where they've sculpted their opening soul ring, like they mulled a few times so that they were guaranteed to get a soul ring in the opening hand.
Right.
I mean, no. We're not going to be using it. We're going to stick here with the Vancouver Mulligan. The player base already knows that we will not be using that for our commander pods.
Right.
Until more data is out. I'm going to give it at least a month before I consider testing it.
Yeah,
I
agree.
As for the rest, if it's official, I have to run it. So if I run a draft, I have to run this rule. I think this rule is good for draft. Like, I'm not arguing like limited, where this was probably tested the most.
Right.
But they should have implemented this rule exclusively for limited. But they've said they don't want to have a separate rule for limited over standard. I'm like, then why is limited 40 deck construction?
Right. Exactly. Ching says, I don't like the mulligan rule because people can abuse it, and a mulligan should not technically be a mechanic of actual play, such as the scry mechanic.
That's a good point. I mean, yeah.
Well, the current mulligan rule is you decide to keep your hand and then you scry, so therefore that scry is also part of that mulligan rule. So it's a gray area, but I can see where you're going with that point.
Yeah, I get what he's saying overall. I mean, yeah, I can see what he means, for sure.
Hey, Cheng, what's up?
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it makes perfect sense that, so now they're making mulligan an actual kind of mechanic in the game where it was kind of outside of the game before.
Right.
I didn't really think of it that way before, but yeah, no, I hear that. But at the same time, they've had to kind of make it a mechanic in the game just to make the game in their mind run smoother. And I think that's what the intent always was, and it is to make the game run smoother. Now, did they accomplish that? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I guess it's kind of an opinionated thing. Like, if the game is smoother or not, who knows? You know?
Strategist says it's really going to make the first few turns a lot more dynamic, equals more fun. I don't know if that would make.
I think it's going to turn the first few turns into a complete blowout. To be honest
I think
with
that
you.
the first few turns are just.
I mean, you're taking a hyperbolic format like Modern, where the game's over on turn 4,
Exactly.
and now you're sculpting into game over on turn 3. You're eliminating a turn with this Mulligan rule.
Exactly. You are speeding up formats that do not need to be sped up, that need to be slowed down in a sense.
And in regards to the whole thing of it being a mechanic, the more I'm sitting here thinking about it, it's going to end up being kind of like that, because to a degree, going into game 2, you're almost going to be second guessing your own hand just based off of what you're thinking your opponent's going to be trying to do.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like you're going to be thinking, well, should I mull because maybe they're going to have X, Y, Z, and that's what they're trying to sift for.
I was thinking the same way.
Like,
you're going right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like it's kind of going to be like you're playing against the mull. It's like it makes no sense.
Right, like, oh, what did they how many times have they mulled? How many times have I mulled? What are the chances of them having what they need to me,
Yeah. So Delta said Modern over on turn 4. Not necessarily over, but it's the most crucial turn in the game. And in about 80% of the games, Modern is over on turn 4.
Right.
Like, it's a high percentage, like at least 80% of the games are over on turn 4. There's a turn 0. There is literally an OTK deck right now in Modern that ends before your opponent's even taken a turn. Force of Negation was a must, but I think Force of Will would have been better. And I'm going to admit, Force of Negation is a great card. It irritates me that Modern doesn't have Force of Will.
I think they should have just printed Force of Will.
They really should have, to be honest with you.
I think that they should have just sucked it up and done it.
Yeah. But that 3 minutes, I mean, it's a lot to think about.
Right. So,
the last thing I'd like to say about
go
kind
ahead.
of that is, a lot of other card games use this type of mulligan. A lot of other card games, say Vanguard, for example.
That's fine.
That's a well, it's a game that from the get-go has used this type of mulligan.
Right.
And I just want to say that the game was designed from the ground up to use it.
Right.
It's just back to my point about
right. It wasn't meant for this new London mull rule. It was built for what it already played.
Vanguard was designed from the first card out the gate to be based on this type of mulligan.
Right.
Where Magic was not. And
what I'm worried about with this new mulligan rule is, do they start increasing casting cost on stuff based on the fact that you're going to have faster opening hands?
Right.
And that frightens me, because that could inherently slow the game down, and then they decide that this rule was wrong, and they invert the game back, and now you have a lot of cards that could be good that are just dead draws.
Exactly. This could go really bad if they don't handle it properly, especially if the reception for this new rule doesn't go well.
I can tell you exactly 100% why this new rule was implemented, and it's for the Mythic Championships to look better on screen.
Exactly.
Because now they have two hands popping up, and they're looking at it, and they're evaluating it.
Exactly.
I think it's going to make Mulligan even... My problem is you have 3 minutes to make all Mulligan decisions. Right? So, like...
3 minutes, that's kind of a long time.
All Mulligan decisions.
Oh, okay. So it's not each player, it's an in total thing?
No, per player.
Oh,
but how do you implement that? Like, in official paper Magic, you only have a certain amount of time to present your deck to opponent for shuffling, and that amount of time for like a shuffling cut and then like make your mull decisions, and that time is to present the opening present. You can spend the first 3 minutes of the clock literally shuffling your deck and present it 2:59 and take your hand off at 3, and you've presented your deck within 3 minutes for your opponent to cut. Now you get to mull your hand and then do it again. So every mull decision is 3 minutes long in Magic.
Right.
Oh my gosh, that's obnoxious.
So now factor that in with 2 hands at 3 minutes, choose the better one, shuffle it back, represent, right? So you have to make that twice as much information in the same amount of time.
Right.
It's going to put some of the players that aren't comfortable in that zone on tilt.
Right. That's true.
And let's say I mull down instead of I used to only like 5 was the max I'd be willing to take going down to 5 cards. Now this new one allows me to go down to 3 cards, right? So that now I've made 5 decisions. I can chew 15 minutes off the clock, which if you've won game 1 with a deck that can go long, anybody knows you keep mulling at pro level. You mill the clock out because you know you're going to take them to time and win in one.
Right.
And that, I think, is going to be a huge problem that they just have not foreseen. They will need to readdress.
Could you not judge at that point to be like they're basically slow playing on purpose?
Not if they've handled every single mulligan the same way.
Right.
So like if I have 7 cards in my hand, I can take 21 minutes off the clock.
Right.
Because I can make 3 minutes per mull decision.
That's just ridiculous.
That's disgusting.
Because I mean, you know that people are going to abuse the hell out of that.
Right.
Yeah,
People already do abuse it. You just have to look for it and see what you can do.
Right. Jason says, if Force of Will was printed modern, would have slowed down a bunch and would be much more interactive based on the fear of someone having Force.
I like that. Yeah.
That is really good. That means that actual creature decks can get a leg up in the format.
Right.
But more importantly, combo decks. Creatures already dominate the format, but there isn't a really good combo Temi, like you've got all your Temi decks, you've got all of your aggro decks, but you don't have any Voltro decks or anything else. And it really, really, really stinks that I can't go in there and play a true commander deck. Sorry, Commander. Wow.
I was gonna say, wait. Now we're playing Commander and Modern.
I was going in the
what?
first place.
Sounds like my kind of jam. Let's
All
do
of my
this
Commander
shit.
decks happened. I think if they want to solve the problems with Modern, they could very easily solve all. They could take almost every card off of the Modern ban list, literally every card off the Modern ban list, if they were to test a new format for Modern, which would be Singleton Modern.
Do you think they'll do that?
I don't think they'll ever do it, but if they did, I'd be 100% in.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I like Singleton format. It means that every card has to be impactful on the game when you play it.
That's true. That's
also technically, how do you think Singleton affects the price of a deck?
The price? I think it drives it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it'll make decks easier.
Like unless a deck needs to have 30 rares and mythics to win, which would be the money deck, which I don't think would ever happen. Like, even if you ran Planeswalker.deck, I mean, a lot of your Planeswalkers are cheap. The really expensive ones are because you run 4 of them. Those ones now suddenly have a huge supply increase into the market.
Right. That's true.
I don't know. Maybe I should start testing it on my own. Start running Singleton Modern and see if I can pull a crowd for it.
That'd be pretty neat. I like that.
Problem is you really can't sanction it.
Right, that is a problem. Exactly.
But I mean, if you got it as like a local thing, I mean, that's kind of like how most of these formats have.
True. I mean, you start off as casual. I guess sanctioning only matters for people who are trying to make buys and stuff at Grand Prix. So running it as I could run it as casual event.
Yeah.
And start running.
There you go.
But if I'm running a high prize support, I'm going to want to run competitive REL, and if I'm running competitive REL, I can't. I mean, I guess the only difference between comp REL and regular REL is a deck list, and there really is. It's a gray area. I'm sure I could figure out something with it.
Right. But do we want to start talking about some Modern Horizons?
Can I go with my? Actually, I want to hear Eric's spec on this set.
Ooh.
Oh, my spec? Oh.
Yeah. Give us some information.
Because I got one right here in front of me on my computer right now. I got 2 right here.
I have one that I've talked about on camera, like on live streams, but I didn't make a video about it yet. But I mean, I'm not saying it's going to be like a huge one, but I think it's going to end up producing more value than what people think out of the gate, even though it is easily removable, which is Carrion Feeder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of little things, and like me, I am a reanimator type player, so like all that stuff, like I'm thinking of all these different things that I could do with it, and I know it's very like I said, on paper just kind of looks like dumb, but with zombies, like zombie tribal, like that's huge, and the undead augur with it, that was pretty boss too for a 2-drop zombie. Even though, I mean, I get it, it pings you for 1 and then you draw, but I mean, you're going to have something in there that nullifies that ping, so you're just drawing into whatever the hell you want. As we already know, slivers are a thing, so I mean, that's really to nobody's surprise, which I am pretty pumped up on that. But let's see here. There is a blue card. Again, I feel it's for more graveyard-styled players, and I'm thinking that people might be overlooking it, which is Bizarre Trade Mage. I think is a very good card, in my opinion.
Yeah, as soon as you said graveyard, I had it up on screen.
Oh yes.
Bizarre,
I
because
didn't
I
see
mean,
it.
you're discarding 3 and drawing 2, but if you
Right.
got that in the right deck, you know exactly what you're going to do with it. And if you flicker it and stuff like that, you could go crazy with it.
Do Dredge. Just think of Dredge. It's bizarre. It's a Bizarre of Baghdad on a stick.
It's nasty, and I don't know why people are like.
The other word I want to use for it, and it's Ali from Cairo. I'm sorry, but that dude's Ali from Cairo, or is it from Cairo?
I mean, I don't know. I really like that, and I guess the Force of Despair I think is another overlooked instant. Excuse me, right now.
The Force cards
Force of Despair
good.
is still like a $4 card. I'm trying to pick the cards at like $2 and under, and this Force of Despair is really there. The Bizarre Trader is surprisingly a buck, and I think it's up there. I think that card has the potential to hit $5-10 if Dredge decides to start playing it. Because think about it: draw 2, then discard 3, turns into Dredge 2, then put those same Dredge cards back in your bin to just dig deeper into the deck and go off on your strategy.
Yeah. I mean,
it's
when I seen it, I'm like, I just kept watching because that's one of the cards I'm waiting until it like. I guess you could say, I know people hate the term, but bottoming out, as far as like it hits its bottom line, as far as
bottom and a quarter.
I'm going to buy the crap out of that card.
Oh, I'm already at buying the crap out of the card because I think it's bottomed and people haven't found the power on it yet.
Yeah.
I think it's going to do some things.
I agree. I agree.
So I got 2 right here in front of me. I'll start with the more obvious one, and that is Captain Sisse's new replacement. This card right now is sitting at like $1.25, but you could buy him as cheap as $1. And I don't see why anybody shouldn't buy like 30 of these to sit on and trade in 2 years' time when people realize the ability to Wooburg stuff is going to be gross. Like, there's already so many ways of doing Wooburg-based stuff in Magic that this is just another Wooburg Matters card. It also is a 5-color general for the purposes of Legendary. This card is stupidly gross.
Yeah, that's true. How much is that card at this point?
It's 99. You can buy them for 99 cents. It's grossly underpriced.
Yeah, I thought it was really low.
The foil started at 20 and it's down to 13 now, and I think the bottom on the foil is going to be like 8 or 10.
Yeah,
and at that point, I'm probably going to buy 10 or 20 of them.
Yeah, it's
and what card was that, by the way? I missed it. I'm sorry.
Sisse, Weatherly Captain.
Yeah, the captain.
Oh, Sisse?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah, that was one, yeah.
Now, for the card that I think everybody is missing right now, like, if you're modern and you're red and you don't own this card right here...
Oh, yeah, Force of Rage is great.
It's 50 cents on MTG stock.
Is it 50 cents?
On MTG stock, and if we go to TCG Player, which will take me about 10 seconds to get there, I will bet you this vendor's quarter boxing it right now.
So
24 cents each.
Yeah, 24 cents each. Well, that's with 78 shipping, so it's like $1.
I'm seeing
like $1.
But you're talking about buying one. It's 78 shipping for the entire order. So if you go to like the one dude there that has 10 copies, you pay $2.40 and 78 cents shipping.
Yeah,
I mean, you look for the guys that have the free shipping over X amount. Actually, some of these guys have free shipping over $5.
Right.
So you just find the first. You just sort.
And the foil's only $2, $2.90. That's
and I think the foil's gonna go down to 50 cents, and then once that happens, that's when the feeding frenzy will begin.
Yeah, for sure.
But seriously, you have an instant that you don't have to pay mana for, so you can overcompensate and swing out for damage.
Yeah.
With knowing you have 2 blockers in your hand that you don't have to pay for, so you can cast out and swing out, and then when they try to do something, force block, come back to your turn and take the win because they compensated. Now, right now, it feels more of a sideboard card, but I could see a Red Rush deck in Modern playing something like this.
Yeah, I could see a Red Rush picking that card up and utilizing it.
I could see it as a 2, maybe a 3 of. It could potentially be a 4 of, but the Exile cost is really like the rough part about it.
Yeah, that's for sure. I definitely think that it I think. What do you? All right. So what do you think that it would go up to?
I think that if it sees modern play coming out of this set, it could spike to $10.
Yeah,
If
I was
it sees
thinking like 8, 9. Yeah.
Are you talking
Yeah.
about for the non-foil?
for the non-foil,
Yeah,
yes.
non-foil.
I'm excluding the foil price.
I think. Oh man, I don't know. 10 seems. I mean, it'd have to see a lot of play, but I mean, I can
maybe
easily
like
see
7,
around
8.
7, 8.
Yeah, I could see 7, 8. But that's still not a bad price compared to.
It's still not a. That's still not a bad
25
gig at all.
cents.
Seeing as at least 24 cents. I mean,
Right.
you can't
Right.
beat it.
I mean,
Hell,
it's a
even if
good
the car
point.
goes to $2 and it starts getting bought at $1,
Right.
you're still going to make 4 times your money.
Exactly.
I mean, I look more for instead of the resale value, because even being a store, I like when I spec for myself, and I'm specking to trade down the line to make my commander cost less.
Right.
No, I definitely could see that card going up a bit. I definitely think that it's gonna be worth more than 25 cents. That's for sure. I can't believe that it got that low. Last time I
That's
checked,
what
it was
I'm
like,
saying. It's
yeah.
like after the stream, I freaking Ching's gonna go on and buy them all out. Watch.
Damn it, Ching!
Don't do
Damn
it,
it, Ching!
I'm
Why?
blaming Ching for this one.
Yeah, right.
The big one's gonna be this Friday when the market actually floods. Because this is gonna for the pre-release. I'm not gonna lie, the pre-release wasn't as large as I would like it to be, but we still sold through 50% of our sale product. We got sold as in pre-order / events, and we got 50 boxes and we have roughly 24, 25 left. That's a pretty decent weekend, leaving me 24 to 25 to run for the upcoming week. I got a feeling I'm gonna be sold out, and I've already heard from my distributor that they are completely sold out. They've heard that a restock is coming, but let's put it this way. Remember when War of the Spark sold out?
Oh, yeah.
This week coming up is finally the restock for War of the Spark.
That's
been a month.
disgusting. That's disgusting. Ugh.
So, we're looking at maybe not seeing a release until the week after the pre-release for 2020 for this set to restock.
Right.
This is modern season starting right now. Everybody wants these cards. Prices are going to stay up, and if you want to make a decent little chunk on things you think we'll see play, this is the time to think about it.
Yeah, that's for sure. How are you feeling about Core 2020? What if you could make a guess?
I bet you there'll be 3 Chanders in there.
What?
I bet you there'll be 3 Chanders in there.
There is already 3 Chandras in there. What are you talking about? You trying to jip me here? I already know this shit. Damn it! Stop trying to trick me to say, no, there won't. And then you'll be like, well, screw you, man. Damn it, stop trying to trick me,
You made me choke up my
okay?
Gatorade product placement. We're going to get sponsored by Gatorade.
Is that the piss flavor?
Yes, it's actually the best flavor.
Great.
JJ said it needs to be at least 5 for him to be interested.
Great.
Must be a
Little
magic judge.
Planeswalker deck and a special promo card. There you go. Buy a box. There you go.
All right, good.
There
Nobody
you
heard
go.
that.
Great.
It just went over our heads.
Yep.
I
Too much
think-
product, too fast, hard to keep up for most people. Core 2020 burnout. Yeah, there's a lot of product, that's for sure.
I think Core 2020 is going to be a sleeper set because it has the Core name attached to it.
You
It's
think
not
so?
going to sell well. So, I've gone real light on my orders for it. And if I'm wrong, whatever. It's a Core set. But I
Right.
think that set right there is going to be a huge moneymaker in the long run. Hell, I actually think Modern Horizons Masters,
The non-Masters Master set.
the non-Masters
That was stupid.
Masters,
Just
actually,
put Masters in the name. Just do it. Come on.
well, actually, everybody in the store is calling it Commander Masters because the set, there isn't a bad card in this set that
Right.
isn't a Commander card.
That's true. That's true.
Has anyone gotten those foil uncut sheets that Wizards was promising people?
Oh yeah, all those.
I mean, just because they promised them doesn't mean they'll give them to you before the end of this year.
Right, we could see. You could see them next year. Who
And the
knows?
fact that there's going to be 49,000 of them flooding the market at once, I'm going to be able to buy them for $25 on eBay. I'll
Right.
probably buy 10 of them and sit on them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to be very
Oh
low,
my
and
God.
I would do the same
I
thing.
literally make a chair out of them to sit in.
Like instead of the
That would
throne
be
of
awesome.
swords, it's the throne of sheets.
There's just one sheet molded to fit my seat and sticking out of the back. You just see people crying every time there's a stream.
God damn it. Oh man, that
I'm
would
dying. Have you been buying a lot of actual physical product, or have you just posted?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I am always piecing together singles and stuff, but as far as boxes. I actually did buy one box of War of the Spark, which I just had to because I was like, I got to crack these to see what I can get. And I was actually pretty pleased with what I got. I got a Lily and a Bolus out of there.
Yeah,
as
that's
far as
pretty
the
damn
big
good.
ones, yeah.
Lily is great.
And then and I got Teferi. As much as I hate Teferi, I got one of those and a
solid
Karn.
card. Even if you didn't want to play him, he still had
yeah.
he still has value.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna hold on to it because that's just one less Teferi being used and ruining somebody's life. So.
Like me with my
I'll hold it prisoner.
Like me with my 300 lightning bolts, you're gonna have 300 Teferi.
Yeah, and they're just gonna be sitting there. If I was a millionaire, I'd buy them all up and be like, nobody's playing Teferi.
Yeah. Gosh darn it.
Never again.
Right.
Never.
If you live stream burning them one by one, flicking them in a fireplace one by one, slowly but surely all the Teferis are gone.
You have to buy up the Dominaria Teferi as well.
I know.
They'll go down eventually.
Get those Teferis off the market.
Well, if I hit the mega, I'd have the fun. So,
you're gonna have a little bit of spending money, you know.
Yeah. And so for those of you out there that are
pray that doesn't happen.
Or yeah.
And for those of you that are into overloaded cards, the Acid Trip of Death, aka Winds of Wrath, right? Or sorry, Winds of Abandon. I call it the Acid Trip of Death because whoever came up with that art was definitely tripping something.
Yeah, that art is intense.
I agree.
I feel like the art in this set isn't awful. I do like a lot of the art in this set, but some of it
really good.
Yeah, there's a couple that really look awful, but most of the card arts are fantastic. Besides the Snowlands, why did they have to look so bad?
Those Snowlands look good. Who are you kidding?
They look awful.
Hey, Sfara, I heard you have some foil ones you want to show us.
Oh yeah, I mean, people
they look awful. If I saw them, I would throw them in a trash can.
No.
They look
Sfara,
awful.
Show us the lands.
Start with this one.
Oh, the Justice Warriors of Social
Sword?
Truth Sword. Nice.
That
Love
sword is gorgeous. Then
gorgeous.
That is a pretty sword.
Yeah. Ooh,
Snowcovered
it's the decoration Christmas tree. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Everybody loves Christmas, don't you know, in this culture?
Yeah.
Actually getting these altered with little like red lights on them.
See, everyone's
green
agreeing with me. Frank, Francis,
don't worry.
Rim,
I'm not
everyone
even
agrees with me.
Christian,
They
I
look
like
like bad.
Christian.
They
Oh,
look
really?
like trash. They look
The
bad.
plane. The plane.
Ooh, it's an outline of a it's an outline of a rock.
Look at the colors
Oh, yeah.
in the land. It's like it's. Hold on, let me see if I can get
It's
this
an outline
sleeve
of a
off.
rock with some white painted over it.
See if this helps a little.
It's foiling! Non-foil, they look awful. Anything looks good with a little bit of foil added to it.
Dude, every single card in Magic is designed with foiling in process now, with the exception, obviously, of Flusterstorm. Screw you, Wizards.
Right? Yeah, right.
And then the mountain actually is gorgeous. I don't care who you are. If you're a red player and don't like this, you're on drugs.
Looks pretty bad.
So I just wanted to chime in real quick. I just wanted to check Bizarre Trade Mage. It's as low as 38 cents on TCG
Ooh,
Play right
nice.
now.
I didn't go that deep
low.
into the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to check it, and there it is.
Is it that
Jason
low?
says I sold the foil Snowcovered Islands to the guy across from me at the pre-release for $50 and played a free pre-release.
There we go.
That's not bad.
I think I gave $40 in trade for the one I got off for the forest I got off the dude.
That's not bad.
The thing is, and I really don't want to make you the dude who traded it out got 50 off of it, but these are gonna go to $100.
You think so?
They're rarer. They're as rare.
I hate to say it, but I do agree with you. Even though I don't think they look good, they still have a value to them. They're still valuable.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem that people don't realize. They did the exact same thing they did with this set that they did with the last unset. These are like 1 in 3 to 6 boxes.
Right.
They're so stupidly rare that they have no choice but to go up.
Right.
I think the islands are going to be, and the islands and mountains are probably going to end up in the $100 range.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. Panda says, red player here, don't like it. What drug am I on?
Life. And prove me wrong.
I think they look bad.
I'm still going with as one of my favorite cards from Modern Horizons is definitely the green pack card.
Force of
Force. Oh, right, the green force card. Sorry.
coming up.
Force of what's it called?
Force of Vigor. Actually, Force
Oh,
of
yeah.
Vigor is going to be gross for Commander.
Yeah,
Force of
Force of
Vigor.
Vigor is
This
definitely
card is
good.
actually not as cheap as I thought it would be. But the thing with, like, it's a $6 card right now.
Right.
So I think it has room to go down to grow.
Right.
But, like, the White Force of Vitality is $1 and dropping.
Right.
And it's going to be like all the token matter decks are going to want it for their opening hand or whatnot. Not even just the opening hand. Like, I know you got ley lines and stuff, but the ability to go, oh, you're attacking in, cool. I'll block with all these. I'll flash this in. Now I'll
Right.
block with everything.
Right.
Oh wait, not to backpedal back to the Mulligan thing, but I definitely totally. Ley lines are going to be more broken under that
Yeah.
Mulligan.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that. I don't know how that didn't come to mind when we were talking about it.
Yeah.
Damn, ley lines.
Oh yeah, that's
They're gonna
for
be-
sure.
Somebody gamed the system so that they can gain advantage at a Grand Prix with this rule for a few months.
Wait, what?
Gaming the system is when you work behind the scenes, and
Yeah.
they probably said, "Oh yeah, that would be a difficult one to work with. I think that would be good for the community and make the players better." And secretly, they're like, "Oh yeah, baby, give me this thing. I need all 60 grand of that upcoming GP."
Great.
They're like literally sitting there, like these type of Mulligan rules. You start seeing price spikes before these go into place, so before they announce they're going to do them, and insider trading is happening left and right. It is so corrupt, it's ridiculous.
Right. Francie says, you know what's busted and still low? That Planebound red cards. I don't know what that means. Planebound red cards?
Oh, hold on.
Same. I'm brain farting.
Yeah.
No, hold on. I got a stack of cards here.
I don't know what that
Literally,
means.
Planebound Accomplice.
Oh yeah, Planebound Accomplice. I was just looking it up. I googled it and that's what popped up.
I have almost every single rare in front of me. I mean, I'm 4 boxes deep on this set, and I kind of want to go 2 more.
Yeah, I could see that. That's a good 6 boxes
Actually,
isn't bad.
Do you know what card I was really impressed about? It's that stupid 2-drop enchantment, Tectonic Reformation. I think this card is absolutely disgusting.
I haven't heard anyone talk about that card. Why is that flying under the radar so hard?
I think the reason why it's not being talked about is because the pros don't plan on playing it on the first Pro Tour that pop up.
That's the thing, is if the pro players aren't instantly going to play it, there's no hype around it. There's
No. They're instantly going to play it, but I think they're planning for the Pro Tour.
Oh, right.
And they never talk. They always talk about something else. But for 250, Red Rush decks, this is your other alternative for main deck in any type of Red Rush. Like this card, if it had been in Standard, forget it. We'd be seeing mono red for the next year.
Oh yeah, that's.
And I say next year because I got a feeling that they're going to produce a Modern Horizon set next year.
You think?
And it's going to flop. Yeah, because I think it's going to flop too. Because they always go all in on a new product for the first time they create it.
Right.
And then the second time they revisit it, they kind of overcorrect.
Right.
And then the third time they revisit it, they undercorrect, which is the whole Modern Masters, Modern 2015, Modern 2017 argument.
Right, that's true. You know what product I haven't heard anything about, which people were asking at the beginning, is Commander for this year.
Honestly, because it's I think it's an August product.
Well, usually it's August. Usually we hear about it by the beginning of June, end of May. If you look at last year's, they announced it at the end of May.
Well, no. So the thing is, it's already been announced for its release date of I think it's either late July or early August. They don't want to destroy the hype of 2020. They want to sell through all of their Modern. They want to get the hype for 2020. Get the stores to buy too much of it, bring it in. Restock the Modern Horizons on an epically large number. Because don't forget how the everybody thinks printed demand is just print and flood the market, and that's not printed demand. What we had before, what we had during what was that? Khans of Tarkir and around that time frame, that was printed demand. Printed demand literally means you print the set based on the demand from the distributors. The demand from the distributors is based on the demand from the stores. So when the distributor sells out and the store says, yes, I need 12 more boxes, put me in, and they go around and collect, like, let's say one store has 1,500 customers, and he goes, and every one of those stores wants 12 boxes each. So now we're looking at what, 1,500, hold on, I'm gonna calculate it because I'm dumb. 18,000 boxes, and the distributor goes, I want 18,000 boxes, and then multiply that by 7, and they call Wizards and say, Wizards, all 7 distributors want 18,000 boxes. That's 126,000 boxes. Wizards goes, okay, we're gonna print 130 just to be safe. And then
They're
we're
never going to just print the exact number that someone says. Yeah. Why would
Sometimes,
they do that?
Actually, Wizards likes to allocate print to demand, and instead of doing that, let's say they do 90%. Right now, they're printing 113,000 boxes. They print that and ship out 113,000 boxes. The stores get the distributors get 10% of what they want. That gives them some wiggle room for back out.
Right.
The stores now decide when the product comes out, do I want it?
It's like people just think that, oh, you give them a number and they give it to you. It's not exactly
and it's,
how it works.
I can't go, like when Wizards of the Coast had their warehouse, so they were doing direct sales, printed demand was a little bit more frightening.
Right. But it's not that way anymore.
No more printer on demand because they don't want to give stores another way to be able to get product.
Right.
Yeah.
They just, yeah, that's for sure. What's the card that everyone is most excited for in Modern Horizons?
One of the reasons why print on demand went away is because everything that was going out of Wizards is now going to Amazon.
Exactly.
No, why print on demand went away was for the Battle for Zendikar era. They'd just come off their high boat, and everybody was like, oh, good. We just can't lose. And then they introduced the lottery tickets. They got rid of print on demand and told the distributors, we're going to be doing the special thing. Get your orders in now. Now the distributors would normally take in 25,000 boxes, and now suddenly they're like, give us 50,000 boxes, and the stores are like, give it all to me. And then the following week, we got 50,000 more for you, 50,000 more for you. And then before you know it, Battle for Zendikar's most expensive card is $4, and nobody wants to buy the booster packs anymore because everything flooded out. And that's what happens when you go to print to demand is better described as supply and demand, not what they were doing. They were flooding the market, telling the distributor, if you want to keep your distribution, then you have to take this amount. So they were forcing them to do it, and it caused the market to flood. And you were seeing boxes for less than what the distribution cost was online because people were flooding them out.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
somebody wants to know what's up with that hat, dude. It's my Jester's hat. You don't like it?
It's a pretty damn good hat, honestly.
I love this thing. It tells me when I'm coming and going.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, but getting rid of the direct distribution, though, I think it was harder on stores. Don't you think?
It is.
Yeah.
My prices went up. Like, put it this way. Modern Horizons before we were paying around 54 to 50, like in the 54 to 57% range. Now with Modern Horizons, the price jumped to 67%. And the reason I say it jumped to 67% is I'm using Wizards of the Coast MTGO pricing for Modern Horizons, where they said we're going to be selling it for $6.99 a pack.
Right.
So people hear, oh, I could buy it on MTGO for that. I should be able to get it into my LGS for that. But I'm paying 67% instead of 54%. Realistically, the paper price on this set should be about $8.99 a pack based on cost.
Right.
Maybe one could argue $7.99 borderline, and I think that argument is fair if you want a store to make maybe 40% profit if they get that per pack. But that's still stores have lights, bills, employees.
Right, you can't just always sell everything for the bare minimum. I mean, that's what people.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, a lot of consumers don't understand that. They think, oh, a store is charging me a little bit extra. Let's boycott them because they're charging too much for products. Stores are not. You don't just buy something and sell it for the same exact price that you buy it for. Or that's not how a store stays open.
If people want a place to play,
right?
then you got to respect the.
A free place to sit down and play isn't free. It costs that store money.
Right.
And That's why like I'm willing to pay a little extra for a box.
Right.
Like as a store owner, people are like, well, you don't pay a little extra for a box. You get them at cost. I'm like, no, I pay whatever my customers would pay if I want
Right.
stuff for myself.
Right.
I mean, I treat the business as a separate entity. Otherwise, you're walking into embezzlement law, and that's a completely different story. We do not want to talk about.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Some people just do not understand really how difficult it is to have and run and keep a game store open. It's not just, oh, I love my hobby, so I open a game store and it magically runs itself. It's not what happens.
Frank's like, I don't mind.
Of course it does.
Yeah,
oh,
Frank's like,
yeah, I'm done. You know, all right. Oh, yeah. You're
But
telling
I
the
just want to say that
truther.
one of the stores that I used to help run years and years back, not the last one I was involved in, but one over in Salem, Mass, that Rob knows the name of. One of the problems that I ran into all the time at that store was, and other people that were involved in the ownership, they were old school comic collectors and statue collectors, and we would order stuff like we would order maybe like 5 of a statue, and 2 of them would just disappear.
Right.
Like they wouldn't be there to sell.
Right.
Why? Because they went into the owner's storage unit.
Right.
Yep.
And no money was coming back into the store to compensate for it. And it was
that's a
that's
a different story. Like I have to sell
Right.
every inch of my product to be able to keep the lights on at the end of the week. And if I have anything left over, I'm sweating bullets. But
Right.
Frank made a comment of I don't mind paying extra, but selling it selling don't blank me for 15% more, right? He's basically don't jack me over the coals for 15%. Let's put this into perspective. If you go online and can buy a box online for $85, but your store is 15% higher than that, right? So let's say 85 times 1.15 is 97.75, right? And your LGS is at 97.75 for it. That 15%, right? The sellers online have the massive advantage that they don't have a store overhead.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is that extra $12 that we're getting almost isn't worth putting our money into bringing that sealed product in the first place. It's a convenience. We're on bottom line. Now, realistically, I'm flat out honest. I won't sell any boxes going forward for less than 110 because of all of the cost increases over the last 5 years that have been put on the back end without MSRP being raised.
Right, but now there is no
completely
MSRP, so
yeah,
now,
there is no MSRP, but there's still going to be those vendors online that are going to $85 a
people
box.
still have have a level of expectation. They expect so much, right?
Your distributors right now. We've actually tracked that there are now 3 distributors selling as fake entities online, bottoming out the prices, and it doesn't help the industry because if your LGSs fail, eventually you have no place to play.
Panda says, correct me if I am wrong, but haven't local game stores always been low profit?
See, that's the thing is what is considered to be low profit? Do you want them to run and just keep running at a neg loss that eventually the store owner who opened a store with his life savings to try to have a little extra eventually goes out and is penniless and has to go on welfare? Or do you want them to be able to live slightly comfortably? Because don't forget, they also have to pay their salary of their employees and pay for whatever homes they live in. Yep. So it may seem like these stores are raking in huge profits, but not everybody is a Star City Games or a Channel Snowball or whatever the hell you want to call it.
Channel Snowball.
No, but you can't look at it and go, oh my God, I can't believe he just bought this single off of me for $5 and is now selling it at 12 in the case. He should have given me at least 8. Right. And then they don't realize that, hey, at the end of the month, they have $1,000 electric bill, they have their rent, they have their employee's salary per week, and they're lucky if they take home 5% at the end of the month for themselves. So that 5% really has to be a large number for a game store. Right. And the gaming industry as a whole is just taking hit after hit after hit from your Walmarts and your GameStops and all these other stores that have the brand recognition that they don't need to sell at larger numbers because they've grown to they had the perk of being there in the beginning and being able to take advantage of the huge profits that used to exist that don't exist anymore.
Panda says, I mean, brick and mortar game stores have always had low profits on MTG, right?
Yeah, that's what I was commenting on. Right. We have low profit. The thing is if our profits are low, and the distributor and manufacturer keeps raising the price, and we can't raise our price because of everybody saying, well, I'll just go buy it online. Eventually,
that's a problem, right?
it levels out, and now you're like, okay, I don't even want to carry this product anymore. There was a point in time shortly after Battle for Zendikar where things were going so downhill that I actually seriously considered discontinuing carrying sealed Magic products.
Right.
And I'm not the only one. Like, I'm in private forums. There's a lot of vendors out there who are like, I'm only ordering a box a week to put on my shelf.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm having a box last me 3 months.
Oh,
the money's in singles. That's why when the EV on the boxes is low, or the singles in general coming out of a set are low, it's not good for stores. It's not good for the market. And I hear people's complaints when they say, well, the game's got to be affordable for people to get in the game. But the game's also got to be able to make money. It's got to be able to support the stores.
So DP, Mr. Panda here says, no, misunderstanding. I mean, brick and mortar game stores.
Yeah, I just read that, and he followed it up with, so given that information, when you open a local game store, don't you expect that being the case?
To an extent, a lot of people are naive when they get into it. I'll be honest. I've been in the industry for 20-something years, and I've owned a game store for at least the last 10 years. And there was a little naivety opening up back in 2011, but we were still in a decent profit margin where the store could bank away a little money. I could bring in 100 boxes of a set and afford to sit on it for 6 months and sell it off over time. Now, I'm looking at it like, if I bring in 100 boxes, I'm going to have it for the next 4 years.
Right, exactly.
Because everybody just wants to go buy it online. It's bad.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the thing with opening up a local game store is for it to be successful, you have to have a player base. You have to be in an area without stores. You have to carry multiple products. You can't just open a store and carry solely Magic.
Yeah, that's impossible now.
That's not how it works.
I mean, I've branched off into pre-4th gen video game systems and everything else because Magic just. If you try to run a game store exclusively doing Magic, you are doomed to failure. You'll be out of business in the first year.
Right.
Oh yeah.
So many people think that they can open a game store solely on one game, like Magic. That is not how that works.
Those days ended like 2000 and like 2015 was the last time you could legitimately have a store that was exclusively Magic.
And it would not work this day and age. It would not.
Absolutely not. I don't think going forward, even if we got back to the golden age of Magic, I don't think it would still work because this whole reprint pump and dump strategy that Wizards of the Coast has going literally destroys store inventories left and right. You gotta figure, if a store keeps 20 of a card that's selling at $20 and they paid $10 a piece for them, and then now suddenly Wizards decides that we're gonna dump all 20 of those cards back into the market and drive them down to $5, every one of the stores has lost $50 per card or $500 in asset value. It's better for them to just take those cards out of circulation.
Right. I mean, it's the same way with any game, though. It's not just Magic. It's Magic. It's Pokemon. It's any
now,
game.
Eric, I remember you talking some months back that there was a local store you were trying to help out and possibly get it back on. Get it back. I can't speak again. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm not feeling that well. Try to get it back on its feet. Whatever happened with that?
I'll try to summarize it because there was a lot. I'll just say he was very community minded, which isn't bad, but at the same time he was not willing to bend in regards to selling stuff online because he was hell bent on, we need to keep these cards in the community. And I'm like, yeah, but what about the cards that literally have been sitting here for years and years and nobody's buying them? And he just wasn't willing to budge. And then I tried saying, okay, I said, well, how about this? You want to do stuff community based? How about like, I said, since I pay attention to card prices, I said, I'll do something in regards to like for trades, like, hey, here's a card. If you guys want to trade this card to us, we'll give you an additional, like, I don't know, let's just throw out a number and say 10% extra towards your trade if you were to throw this at us for store credit, not cash value, but for store credit.
Right.
And then we could then in turn, if and when said card would say go up or what have you, then we could turn that around. And he just was not about selling stuff online at all. And I tried explaining to him that you kind of have to in this day and age, because as we already discussed, you're gonna to some degree have to sell some stuff because people are going to have that argument of, well, I'll just buy it online.
Exactly.
Well, I'm gonna say something like this. I don't sell online for a reason, and that reason being is I don't have an in with the local yokels who run all the big events, so I don't have an easy input of singles back into my store, just what the community sells back in. So I understand where he's coming from, and it is I used to sell online all the time, but I had a much larger supply of singles coming into the store. If I were to sell everything online now and put my entire inventory up for sale, I could guarantee you I'd sell out in a month. But then I would literally have nothing left to sell my customers.
Right.
And at that point, like, I look at selling online these days with the market. Plus, like, if you can put a card in your case at $5, but you have to sell it online at $3.50 and then eat fees, and now you're at $2.50, you're better off just having a 25% off sale in your store.
Well,
Right,
how I was
exactly.
more or less explaining to him, not the small ones, but like there was larger, valued cards that literally sit there. Like I'm talking cards that are at least, let's just say 50 plus, right?
Okay.
And if they're just sitting there, but you got to pay bills, at what cost? What are you going to do? Just close the store, or are you going to suck it up and sell certain cards to make sure that the doors stay open?
If it comes down to the end of the day that I have to close my store tomorrow or sell a bunch of my $200 cards, put it this way: I went to the GP last 2 weeks ago in Providence, and I walked out of there with $3,000 in my pocket and another $850 worth of products to bring back into my store to resell. Because I look at it as an opportunity of culling the weak. You take a look at the stuff that just isn't selling for you, that has good value, and you find the highest pay vendors. I was getting 80% on some of my stuff.
Well, right. I'll say that was one thing that I considered too, is I told him that I would travel to GPs within the surrounding area if it was reasonable, and I would set up if depending what the vendor cost would be. I said we could get a table or something, or I said I could just take shit with me, period, and then just try to trade amongst whoever and go about it that route to try to get some stuff to bring back. But he wasn't up for that either. That's why I said there was a lot of stuff, I was trying to work with this guy as much as I possibly could, and he was just very stubborn. And then the irony is at the end of the day, he ended up having to merge with the other store in our area because he couldn't keep the doors open.
People are very stubborn-minded, and that's not how it works anymore. You cannot just
How about-
sell solely out of a storefront anymore unless you have multiple things going for you. You have a great player base.
I think I know where he's coming from, and I think that if you reference this stream to him, I think one of the things you should look at is if he's struggling and he has stuff that isn't selling and it's $50 plus, maybe he should consider doing a Craigslist then or something like that. Drive people into the store. Or maybe he just says, I'm going to lose 20% total from beginning to end, including shipping fees, selling it online, the whole 9 yards. 20% is a high number, but I could see it being as higher that between PayPal fees and eBay fees and packaging and shipping and delivery confirmation and the 10% chance of risk of I think it's 1 in 100 orders sold through eBay are going to be fraudulent, and you're going to lose the money. So you have to take that into risk. So what you do is say, hey, just do a sale on everything $50 or greater that you have in stock, and do a 25% off sale then, and let the customers get a little extra trade equity back into their collections.
Right.
That might be the better way to go with them and encourage the community to shop local. I actually do a 25% off single sale every single Black Friday.
Right.
Now, my sales leading into Black Friday are kind of garbage, but they've always been garbage before the sale. This has actually helped. But I don't get as many people into the store as I would like for Black Friday.
Right. Every store is different, but some people just do not... They are not willing to go as far as they should to make a profit or to make their store successful.
Yeah. I guess it was I had more gumption than him at the end of the day to try to at least
You were willing to try.
Do stuff.
Right.
And because everything, it was just, hey, how about this? No. How about this? No. How about this? No. How about this? No. And it was for everything, I was trying to figure out certain ways to try to work with them on anything and everything. And outside of just, let's take the whole online selling thing out of it, just other stuff in general, that was just trying to do stuff community based to try to figure out ways to draw people in. And it was just always, no. It's okay, well then, don't be mad when, nobody shows up.
Right.
because that was the whole argument. Was he's like, well, how are we going to get more people here? And so that's when I was like, okay, I'm going to go home, and for like a good solid week, I think I was writing stuff down, and I had about, I don't know, off the top of my head, maybe 20, 25 different ideas, and every single one of them, he was like, no, because of this, no, because of that, no, because of this.
Okay, I have an idea for you. Right. If you're still working with the guy, here's what I would tell him.
No, this was probably about, 5 years ago.
All right. If you had somebody like that now and their store's struggling, what I would say is, hey, look, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go deep into advertisement. We're going to get people into the store. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to advertise that we're paying out 125% of take-in for the tournament entry fees in store credit. We're going to put the stipulation that the store credit can only be used on singles. It's like a sale, but it's not. And then you start running a $5 or $10 Friday Night Magic.
Right.
Like you do the $5 weekly, and then the monthly big event, which is a $10 event. And now you get 30 people to sign up, and that's like you're making your rent off your tournament entry fees.
Yeah, exactly.
But 25% off on Magic cards is not unheard of. You can even have a case of stuff that's like reserve list that you say this stuff is exempt, or consignment items are exempt from store credit. Like for me, sealed, brand new sealed products, so stuff that's actually considered new, and I classify new as anything that is within 3 months of release.
Right. That's a fair amount of time. Yeah.
Yep. It's not overly insane, and consignment. So no consignment and no sealed product that's within 3 months of release.
Right.
But I also pay out high numbers on my. It doesn't matter. You could bring me a stack of $5 janky cards that you consider never selling cards, and I'm going to give you a minimum of 50% in store credit on it.
That sounds like, Eric, you really made a ton of good faith efforts with this.
A lot of effort.
And I actually got people to show up to his store versus going to the other one, even though the other one was getting more people just because they knew I was there and I was trying to do something to try to revamp stuff.
Right.
But I mean, you can only do so much with just people you know what I mean? At the end of the day, you still got to do something, It's
what you need to do is an incentive program. Like one of the things I did for a while to when I first opened back in 2011 was I gave $5 off. I would give people, if you bring a new member into the store, I would give them $5 off a purchase of $10 or greater with each for each new person they brought to the store.
Yeah.
And it would have to have been somebody that hadn't been in the store before.
Right.
And it actually worked great because we went from having like a small community of 16 to a small community of 400 in like a month.
Right. And there was a thing that I actually, now that you brought that up, there was two different, I guess you could say, reward things I came up with. Not saying that, either would have been successful, but one was like it would have had,
there were still ideas.
Pretty much zero overhead to the store, and the other one would have been an $80 a month thing for using a point system that was computerized, but he shut both of them down, flat out. And I just again, it just turned into like what am I doing here? I feel like I'm just slamming my head against the wall, and that was about all it was. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting nowhere.
You still tried though, and that's the point.
Yeah.
You can only try so much for stubborn people.
A lot of good faith effort, and he was just a stubborn guy, right? So
yeah.
And
like I said, now he's he got merged in with the other store, and it is what it is.
Yeah, and I bet it wasn't even a merger on his behalf. It was probably like more of a hostile merger where he had no choice to merge in.
That's pretty much what it was, and then he got for the most part bought out.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things you have to be careful of when you merge in with someone else and they put a stipulation for a buyout because their intent was to buy you out in the first place.
Right,
exactly. That's why I just kind of shook my head. I'm like, whatever.
Right. Like, if you're not willing to make the moves, then no one else is going to just do them for you, dude. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, Chief Joseph had a question before about Modern. He said, also, I'm quite new to Modern. Are the decks much different than Standard? Or is there not much different except the decks that are OP and Standard are totally fair in Modern?
Modern is completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah, Modern is a world of it. You do not see the same type of deck go from Standard to Modern.
Absolutely not.
It's completely different. You would definitely have to do a little bit more research on the different formats and like the years, not the years of the sets, but the sets that are allowed in the formats and everything. What's banned, what isn't.
An OP deck in Standard is doesn't mean that it's going to be even viable in Modern. It's probably not even playable in
Right,
Modern.
most
Oh,
of the
God,
time they're
no.
not. They don't follow over like that.
No.
Yeah.
If somebody showed up to a tournament with a standard deck, even if it was like a top tier standard deck, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go play Modern," you're about to get smoked.
Right.
Guarantee it.
Phew. Modern is a completely different
Here-
world.
Yeah,
Have
I'm
you-
glad the store's doing well.
Yeah.
Have you guys noticed that Modern in general, I mean, not Modern, Magic in general, a format is only as viable as its cheapest deck? I guess that's the wrong term I'm looking for. Like, let's take Standard. Standard is only a viable format when there is a cheap mono red deck style to play. When there isn't one, the format fails horribly. As much as I hate mono red decks, they are the necessary evil to keep the players that couldn't necessarily afford to play the game playing the game.
Yeah.
And I think that Wizards needs to stop saying, well, every deck should be affordable, and
No,
realize
there's different levels of price, different levels of everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like they don't like if they really wanted everything to be equal, they'd print everything at the exact same frequently, randomly insert them into packs, and then let the market sort itself out. But they're never going to do that because a mythic is the ultimate lotto card,
Right.
and a foil mythic. I mean, hell, one in three boxes.
Right.
Yeah, good luck with that, son.
They should bring
Yeah.
back invocations. I miss
Yeah.
them. I miss them. They were very
I
cool.
think
I like not the invocations. I like the
The
ones.
Masterpiece series. Whatever.
Masterpieces.
Oh my god, I should show you some of my masterpieces. Oh,
I wish I could have one. Just
You don't even
one.
have one?
No,
Damn,
I
I gotta
don't.
start a GoFundMe. Hold on.
I-
Guys,
I-
next
I
stream is
am-
gonna be every donation goes towards an invocation masterpiece for Undying.
As
Let's
funny
do
as
this.
it is, I'm very like I'll spend money. Like I spend money on cards, but I'm
Bruins.
very frugal.
Right.
Like I
yeah.
like on one card. If I spend more than $20 on one card, it's one that
It
I
hurts.
really
Yeah.
really want. Other than that, I'm getting stuff to acquire to eventually trade out of to get said expensive card that I'm
Right.
looking at because I just don't want to pay that much money.
Right.
But that's just me. I mean, I know not everybody's like me,
Yeah,
but you know.
more people than you'd think are really that way, though. Like,
what I tend to find is the people. I have this one kid here who's like, he spends all his money on Magic, and he couldn't afford a $50 card for all of his decks if he tried.
yeah.
And he started building a single deck and just going crazy, like making it the most expensive. And then he was like starting to build his next deck, and he was discouraged. And I told him, "Why don't you just swap the card between decks or make a proxy box?"
Right.
And he looked at me and was like, "What's a proxy box?" And I was like, "It's a box where you put your most expensive cards. You keep it off to the side. You write the proxy into the deck, and as soon as you play it, you grab it from that box and put it into play."
Right.
And people will typically not argue with you because you own the card. And if they ask why you do that, you say it's because I can't afford to swap between multiple. It's too time consuming to swap between multiple decks
Right.
when I want to sit down and play Muldratha versus playing Lord Windgrace.
Right, exactly. Why do people have this thing where they do not switch cards? Like they'll own like a play set of cards, but they want to bring it to a different deck, but they don't put them in that deck. They say that they need a complete other play set. Why do I just do not understand that mentality? I suppose
It's not the mentality. It's honestly a borderline laziness that our nature
just
as
get-
humans have.
Because you don't
And
want
it-
to take it out,
Yeah.
re-sleeve, yeah,
But if,
if you're
but if
triple
you
sleeve,
have
what if you're-
every deck in like the same color card sleeve like I do, I keep all my decks in sky blue dragon
You will
shields.
find out as soon as you drop your box and all of your decks spill out on the
Right,
floor.
I guess, but that's why you write a
didn't want to
list.
do that.
But that's why you write a deck list, so you always have them in case something like that happened. You have to go home and just change everything, but you'd still have your list. Most people that play, like Grixis Delver, already know their list, though. Most people that play X, Y, and Z already know their list, unless it's Commander, then go screw yourself. You're gonna be spending 3 hours putting that back together. But I just don't understand, like, oh, I own 4 Scalding Tarns, but I want to play another deck with them. Why would I have to buy another playset? I guess I've just
Some
never
people-
understood that
We'll
mentality.
put it this way: some people don't care about how much money they put into Magic,
Right,
and
I guess
having
that's
a
true.
second playset just means that your equity in your collection is just that much greater for the long term.
Right.
I mean, there are dual lands that I own 12 copies of.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
why? I just look at each person and say, everybody's financial needs are different.
Right,
You can't
exactly.
treat everybody the same.
Right, exactly.
Because once you start treating everybody the exact same, then you have to treat every player as your cheapest player.
Exactly. And that's a
And when you do
problem in
that, you kill
itself.
your own game. And that's
Right.
one of the big things that Magic needs to, like, Wizards needs to really realize is some guy might like be a whale and have 50 grand to spend a month in Magic, and some other dude might have $50 a year to spend in
Right.
Magic. And
Yeah.
you're now stuck treating everybody as if they only had $50 a year,
Right.
and you drive
And that's not the
you drive your
case.
asset down.
Right. Everyone's different. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
And the trash is overflowing.
Hashtag Kamigawa sucks. I don't think so.
Kamigawa's okay. But Chief Joseph there says that we should go back to Innistrad again.
Be careful what you ask for, because the last time we revisited Innistrad, they strap-oned all of us really horribly. It was bad. No. I want them to go back to their 7-year plan.
I want Kaladesh.
Oh yeah, 7-year plan is good.
Kaladesh was a fire set.
I love Kaladesh. Kaladesh was awesome.
I don't know. I guess it just, I was like, meh. There was some good cards out of the block.
I want to see 3 years of new planes. To be honest with you, I
agree.
I feel that we've rehashed so many planes so frequently since Innistrad.
Yeah,
like not even Innistrad. If you take from Khans of Tarkir went to Dragons of Tarkir. They rehashed the set.
Yeah.
And then since then, it's been rehash after rehash after rehash. I want to see a new plane every other set for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Or for the next 2 years, a new plane every set. Because I'm telling you, the game feels stale. And when the game feels stale, people walk away.
Yeah, that's very true.
Just because one set was your favorite, like for instance, my favorite set of all time was probably Time Spiral. Not Time Spiral.
I was gonna say Time Spiral out of all of them.
Sorry. Urza's Saga.
Yeah.
Urza's Saga was probably my favorite set of all time. Then we went to Then we went to Meriden, and oh my God, Meriden did it for me. And then we went to Scars of Meriden, and they did it, and it did it for me. And you know what the big thing with all three of those sets were? They were spaced far enough apart that they could have a storyboard and go back and say, we're going to adjust this a little. We're going to adjust this a little. We're going to adjust this a little. But when you steamroll through set after set after set and don't give proper planning and try to push the narrative too fast, you kill yourself.
Yeah.
How do you think, quick question on sets that I can throw out there. How do you think Planeswalkers are going to be handled in sets going forward? Do you think they're going to go back to the same amount of Planeswalkers they were doing prior to War of the Spark, or do you think we're going to see more Planeswalkers in every set going forward?
I think we're going to see about 10 Planeswalkers in each set, and I think that's a safe number.
I would like less Planeswalkers, though. At this point, I feel kind of Planeswalkered out, but people do love the Planeswalkers. I just wish that they had stayed a little bit more scarce. I wish that they had stayed kind of full of mystery, kind of you didn't see them so often that you were sick of them, but you saw them often enough to enjoy them. I just feel like there's been this Planeswalker overload lately. I mean, of course, War of the Spark did not help that, but
yeah.
I think quite the contrary. I think War of the Spark revitalized people's interest in Planeswalkers. Now we have Planeswalkers with static abilities. What next? Maybe we get a series of Planeswalkers that are also always creatures. There's so many doors that they could open with this, but I think that 10 is the right number, because that means that at any juncture in time in Standard, there are going to be about 40 Planeswalkers. And that's a comfortable number when you factor in how many creatures, how many enchantments, how many instants, how many sorceries, how many different types of lands. Like, take all your card types and bam. Now, what I would really like to see is a new type of permanent, to be honest with you.
That would be awesome. What do you think about the Planeswalker question? I'm dying.
Well, I'm not a huge Planeswalker guy, but, I wish they would tone it down just a hair,
Yeah.
But I actually didn't mind the uncommon ones because, for the most part, I mean, they're kind of just like enchantments with legs because they can do some sort of a neg ability. But
attackable enchantments. What if
Yeah.
we make an enchantment that could be attacked?
Right, exactly.
Planeswalker.
There you go. Yeah. I don't know. I guess like even though I've been around planeswalkers forever, I still have the old mentality of I like to prefer making decks without them. And even though I know I have to acknowledge them from like a playing against standpoint, I still just when I make decks, I just tend to not want to use them because I don't know. I guess when playing against people and it's like using a planeswalker as a win con, it just agitates the absolute hell out of me because I guess from playing years ago, it just to me takes the integrity out, and I'm just used to other ways of winning. So then when I see that and it gets kind of like slammed into your face so much, you just kind of get burned out on seeing it, and it's just kind of like can we get something else, please?
Yeah,
I say
that's all.
What about? I think a good number for me would be 5. 5 in a set. I understand what Sfara is saying. Maybe going forward they're going to put 10 in a set.
I'd compromise at 7. I'd compromise at 7. One for each
7
color.
Would be good. I would say 7's good.
Yeah, and then you get the Planeswalker decks, because don't forget, we have to deal with the fact that Planeswalker decks are here to stay.
Right.
Planeswalkers sell sets to Timmies.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what everybody needs to look at is if they can make a set. The people that have the most disposable income are your 12 to 20-year-olds that come out on a Friday Night Magic.
Right.
And your 12 to 18-year-olds are getting something from their parents. They're getting a little chunk of change to bring in. So those are going to be the people that Wizards it needs to and wants to cater to.
Right. That's true.
How about and along the lines of talking about planeswalkers, quick, are we going to see uncommon planeswalkers again going forward?
Oh, I'm sure.
I think we definitely could.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that we will.
It won't be as crazy as War of the Spark, but I could see him throwing some in here that here and there.
Honestly, I could see them doing a set where we don't get a rare or mythic planeswalker and we only get a couple of uncommon planeswalkers.
That would
definitely be interesting.
Because then they can say that, let's say they decide to do a set that has 10 new planeswalkers, they're all at the uncommon level, 5 of them a single color, 5 of them a multicolor, and then from there you turn around and put them 1 in 4 packs.
Right.
I think
they could.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think that planeswalkers sell sets.
Yeah,
Wizards has known this for a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it would be interesting if they continue on with the theme of uncommon planeswalkers.
Yeah,
so
I like
that.
That
would make it easier to get that 10 number that you were talking about, is there. So if they are going to go forward with, say, putting 10 walkers in a set, maybe 5 are mythic / rare and 5 are uncommon, and that would be cool. That I would totally be down with. But 10 rare / mythic planeswalkers, I think for me is a little too much.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd rather see 5, but okay, I'd settle at the 7.
Yeah, for sure. I would be okay with around 7. I do like the uncommons though. I do hope that they bring them back. I mean, I'm sure that they will, but I do hope that they bring them back because they added something to the game, yet they weren't. It wasn't like you were always running into like the same couple of planeswalkers. It had that variance, and that's what I like about them.
That's true.
Yeah.
While it's fresh in my brain, I just wanted to ask Rob, because I know he is an avid blue lover. How did you feel? Because we haven't talked obviously in a while. So how did you feel about the Teferi in War of the Spark being anti-control and it is a control card? So it's like, do control players hate each other that much that they wanted that card?
Yes.
Yes.
Anyone can answer
I
that.
absolutely. That Teferi made the cut in a track.
I bet it did.
I both love playing my Planeswalker deck and hate it because when you get to a state when you have 12 walkers on the board, you can activate each one 3 times. At that point, you're just like trying to extend. You're trying to cast like 14 sorceries in 1 turn to try to get to a win in 3 turns, and you're like, this is a little painstaking. But honestly, I think his ability was perfect. I think he was right at that level. He's perfect. And I like the fact that they took some older walkers and brought them down in power level while still giving the idea that, yeah, they really still control this game. But in the same retrospect, I like the idea of the potential in the future of a Planeswalker going from being an uncommon to now being a Southern powerhouse mythic down the line that they could tell an entire story block around. Like, think about all of the Planeswalkers they introduced with the set.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if the Shadow becomes the new badass evil one?
Right. That'd be interesting.
But yes, I absolutely love the fact that the Teferi was control anti-control.
Yeah, it was
Like,
it was pretty good. It was a
I
pretty
thought it
good
was like,
addition
what's
to
the
it.
like oxymoron with it? You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like-
Well, it's perfect too because think about it. You have that's the one where you have the ability to prevent all damage from a permanent.
It's the one that it makes your opponents be able
Pay
to
one
only
more.
cast instances as sorceries.
Yes. Oh yes. Absolutely phenomenal card to play.
I was like, wow,
Absolutely.
they really
do not
did
wanna-
that.
I do not want
They
to play
did.
again. Like, you can't even Cyclonic Rift into
Oh, oh my gosh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, Teferi. Oh, Teferi.
Yeah.
So is it true there's nothing, there's nothing more that a control player hates than another control player?
Oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure that is definitely
The
the
control
case.
matchup is a game 1. That's it. Like, when I was playing during my favorite standard block, which was scars through Khan's block. So basically that entire block of time. This is a long block. I played Esper the whole time.
Right.
And like, it really like bothered me when Esper wasn't viable for like 3 years. Like, I literally walked away from standard for 2 reasons: double rotation and Esper being completely unviable.
Oh, double rotation is awful.
Oh, bad taste in the mouth.
Yeah, awful. So I know we're running up against time here. Why don't we?
We are.
We're not. We still got 24 people, and they're having a blast.
Well, we have 20 people actually, but
Oh,
Oh,
gee,
really?
you know, if we want to be
24.
technical.
It says 24. We were at 30 at one point.
It says 20.
I say the
but
last I
that's
seen was
more.
28, so I see 24. I mean,
I
is this
see-
wrong?
Oh,
I
no,
see
it went up.
25.
But yeah, is there anything that you guys wanted to talk about? Is there
Oh, I was
anything?
just interested that possibly Sfara could tell us about what's going on in his store for events around this time, and then Eric could tell us what's kind of going on with what type of videos and content he's putting up. But
Yeah,
I'd
for
love
sure.
to hear about what like events Sfara you're running, and
Drafts.
drafts.
Oh yeah.
Drafts. This set is gas. I have not been this excited over Magic since Scars of Meriden.
Yeah. Hey, as long as people are enjoying it and it appeals to someone, that is what matters.
I
Honestly,
hate to ask the big money question but how much are your Modern Horizon drafts?
40 full support.
40 full supports. I mean, that's reasonable.
Yeah,
I've seen 50.
it's 40 full support. Full support is 5322 for prize support.
Yeah,
Booster
not
packs.
bad.
That's pretty good price support, actually.
That's good price
That's
support.
that's solid.
Yeah,
For
and,
sure.
and if somebody wants to do a custom one where they if they get 8 friends and want to do just a fill-in fire draft, it would be the same price, or they could buy a box and do it on their own.
Right.
But like, I mean, I'm getting $250 a box, and people are like, that's really high, and I'm like, it's a really good set. When you run the EVs, we're sitting at about 300 on the set. I think this set is gonna fast track to 360. Like, I think the growth potential on this set is greater than the original Modern Masters.
You think so?
Oh yeah, because think about it. You get 33. You get 50% more packs in a box. Because the old Modern Masters was a 24-pack box. This is a 36-pack box.
Right.
That is true.
That's true.
So the cost and if you look at the cost from that old Modern Masters box to this Modern Masters box, this box is cheaper.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Back, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think I'm completely fudging those numbers. To be honest with you, I'm thinking of the second Modern Masters where this box is cheaper. The first Modern Masters was definitely cheaper. Let's see.
I think the most expensive Modern Masters box sealed right now. So if you want to buy it sealed, is the original Modern Masters.
Yeah, they're like almost 500 now.
Yeah, they're around 500.
I think. How much is Master 17 going for?
It's up there. I mean, but it's not
yeah,
nearly
that's why
like
I'm
Modern
saying,
1.
Is it higher?
Nope.
They're going for 450. They're going for 450.
Is that eBay?
That's eBay, and I saw TCG. Modern Masters 2015, not 15, not 2015. 2013 is going for 500. So
yeah.
500 to the Masters 17 is definitely getting up there though. That's for sure.
Well, Modern Masters 17 was the set everybody was laughing about, and I said, no, this set's gross. Like I told them flat out.
That was the set.
This set was so good.
Yeah.
That had the fetch lands in it. Am I correct?
Yeah, that had fetch, that had snap, that had Tarmogoyf, that had everything.
The common, uncommon slots where it matters for your long term.
And it had great uncommon and common slots.
Modern Masters 1 still hands down is the greatest winner for stores because it came out the gate selling at $9.99 a pack, and then Wizards got greedy and said, no, we want the $9.99 a pack.
Right.
But realistically, that was only because of the quality of the reprints at the time.
Right. So, Undying, what is your plan for content for the next little while as we wrap up? I figured we could talk about you and your content for a few minutes.
Well,
do you have any fun plans, any big projects?
Trying to get back into doing some deck techs, whether it be budget modern builds, getting into some Oathbreaker stuff, because I actually think it's a solid format, and I'm usually not hip to certain stuff, but I like it. I think it's pretty cool as just a casual thing. I'm not sure if it's going to take off, but it's definitely better than Brawl. I mean, if you had to compare the two, I mean, it completely smokes it out of the water. So I mean, I'd be fine with it.
Oh my God, I miss Brawl so much.
Yeah.
Oh God.
You're saying the same thing
Grim,
about.
You're not allowed on the next Titans table. You're out, guys.
I've had one customer come in raving about Oathbreaker, and it's because it's a degenerate format.
I mean, I do see as of right now that it's very limited, but I think if they print other planeswalkers that kind of help the format, I could see it being better. But for right now, I don't see it like completely being like a commander thing or anything like that. Is how popular that is. But
is completely busted in the format.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I looked at it and I'm just like, it doesn't interest me. I can't play with Soul Ring. I can't play with Mana Crypt. I don't want to play it.
Right.
But outside of that, I'm trying to come up with faster ways for me to put up, rather be speculation or quote unquote finance videos. Because some stuff, I mean, I guess I guess you could say the way I look at stuff from a finance standpoint. Sometimes I just look at it from just trying to acquire cards at a decent price because. I know a lot of people look at finance as just ways to get cards and then flip them, where I try to talk with people about acquiring cards is just acquiring them for the lowest point possible. So that way you're not kind of screwing yourself over if you have no knowledge on how, certain stuff works in regards to the singles market or, just stuff in general, in regards to like when, standard rotates out. Cause, you got to try to think there are new players out there. And they don't understand maybe what happens to those card prices. Like for the standard cards, once rotation hits, they might think for whatever reason that those cards might sustain or whatever. But, just trying to look at different angles on that to try to help other people out to try to, better their trade binders and stuff like that. And
I can give you like the last 20 years worth of experience if you want. And like one
there you go.
The best time to buy any card is the first week after rotation.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Also, realistically, 2 weeks before. It's like the 2 weeks before to the week or two after. Because that's when they're at their absolute floor. 3 months before rotation is when people start to panic. So after 2020 comes out, you'll start to see a lot of vendors.
Downward trends will begin.
Stuff.
Oh yeah.
and you'll notice all their buy prices plummet. But
Yep.
the 2-week period before rotation, everybody is in such a panic that prices are crashing that you can almost always offer them 50% trade value on their rotatos, and they'll flat out say, sure, I'll take it.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
And target lands. Always target lands.
Yeah, always. Yep. I was gonna just say, yeah, lands. And then I guess like with the videos in general, it's just gonna be. I know some people look at them as useless, but some people don't have the time to, research card prices and stuff like that. So I'll be like, that's why I have certain videos like, hey, here's some cards that are, like I just started one that I'm calling it 5 under 5, which is 5 cards that are currently under $5. And the first one I did was off of Modern Horizons stuff.
Yeah.
And
it did well
without
on your channel.
diving too far into it, but that's going to be a thing. So that way people who are budget players are like, hey, here's some cheap cards that I could actually use. Not saying that you're going to go to a GP and win, but if you want to, challenge yourself and make, some, I wouldn't say maybe upgrades, but put some cards that might synergize with a certain deck idea you might have. And without breaking the bank, you can get X cards to do whatever. And I guess in regards to streaming, I'm changing how I've been doing Monday Night Magic to a degree. And because I used to kind of do it like 50-50, like the first half I would always do like kind of like finance stuff and, be on MTG stocks and BS with the chat about, price stuff and yada, yada, yada. And then the other half would be me playing Arena. And now I'm going to more or less gear it towards, we can still talk about said finance things in the chat, but I'm either going to be playing Arena or Modern on MTGO, which I know a lot of people hate MTGO, but I've been trying to get back into Modern again because I have been missing it so bad. That'll be the thing with that going forward.
I'm gonna start that GoFundMe for you to get yourself an invocation. I'm gonna start it, guys. Please donate at the links down below.
You can make a video.
Guys,
my basement just flooded. Could you please send me an invocation?
yeah, guys, my friend, he really needs an invocation.
Make it happen. Let's get that money together. Let's get Undying his masterpieces, his invocations. And
that's right.
Yeah.
Then he can show them off on the Monday Night Magic stream.
Yeah.
3 minutes, 4 minutes to go. Still 0-0.
Yeah. But 150 Canadian at the moment for Dominaria. Yeah, Canadian, man. That's what you get for living in Moose Country, That's what you get.
Yeah, but what's Canadian to USD? What's Canadian to USD flip?
Like
USD
139, I think.
Yeah.
Around 139 to 1.
Dominaria booster box right now currently US is going for like 120. You can get it for like 120.
All right, and what's the Canadian price?
150.
So about 120 US. And what's the US price right now on the market?
I'm seeing like 120 to 122.
Well, I know a way you can get like cheap boxes of stuff like that. I mean, realistically, you just pay for a video to be made for a box opening from your favorite creator. I don't know, maybe a redheaded girl you might know, and then turn around and have her mail you all the contents that are now open, where you no longer pay the import tax on them.
Wow, what a shocking idea. Could have never guessed anyone would do that on the internet.
No way.
What? People do
Get
that?
around,
No.
Get around tariffs and taxes.
Yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you?
Hey, I'm not paying for shipping, though. You gotta pay for shipping, which is quite a bit. Well, usually when people do that, they just don't ask for the commons. They just say...
No. You even if you ship commons and uncommons, I mean, you're talking about a $5.50 box shipped to Canada, the cheapest shipping on it going to a Patreon. I mean, you're talking like, what? $5.50 USD to ship to Canada for the cheapest possible land.
No.
I mean, it's not going to get there next day. If they want good shipping, that's going to hurt it. But
shipping to Canada is
more
so
like $10.
Shipping to Canada is very expensive, and the prices of postage keeps going up and up and up.
Oh yeah.
The past 6 months, it's gone up like 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, the last just through eBay, it keeps going up. It's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, the other alternative is you do the smart thing, and like, say, for instance, if you're in British Columbia, you get yourself a PO box in Spokane, Washington, and you just drive over the border and pick up your stuff.
Exactly.
That's my sister literally kept the PO box in Spokane for when she lived in Midway, BC, and we would send everything there, and she'd go down once a week. It'd be a day trip down. She'd go to Spokane, have a good day out, pick up all her mail.
Like, it's so much more cost efficient. So much more cost efficient.
Yeah, if someone lives on the border,
Yeah.
you know, if you're up there a little bit, Canada, then
just take a day drive, you know.
Yeah, you go once a month, or maybe. I mean, I know a lot of PO box places tell you they like the stuff picked up every week, but you can probably get away with once a month.
I mean, post off a U.S. PO box right now is what, like, for the smallest boxes, what's like around $17 a month, I think.
Well, I think the post office up here, and I'm assuming it's all the same everywhere. I think it's like $100 for 6 months. That's what I.
Yeah,
think
it's like $100 for 6 months.
Yeah, I think I saw $100 for 6 months.
Yeah. About 7. Yes.
I'm not exactly sure, but the general idea of it is.
It's about 17. Yeah. It's about $16 a month. That's not bad. But realistically, if you don't even want to spend that much, it depends on how much you have in shipping. You can get a package drop site. Like, you find a local store, convenience store, and have your packages drop there. Like, there's a guy up here in my town who does UPS and postal worker drop-off point. UPS, FedEx, postal worker, and he charges people $5 a month for the service.
Right. Exactly.
You get 200 packages a day.
Right. Exactly.
Well, it sounds like that there's a lot of great stuff going on at the store. Command Zone.
We have the Modern Horizon drafts. We're running Friday Night Magic. We actually had Standard Fire 2 weeks ago, and it's really looking positive for Standard. I just want to see a really solid cheap red deck, which we have right now, and a really solid expensive control deck. And I think that once we have both of those in place, Standard's in a good place to have a full range of decks that the players can be proud of again. And we've actually seen people trading standard singles again like crazy in here. Everything from your Arclight Phoenixes. Like, Arclight Phoenix is still holding its value pretty solid.
Oh, yeah, because it's in Modern as well.
True enough.
Right. That's for sure. But, yeah, I think that is going to end Titan's Table for the night.
Well, yeah, I like it sounds like we're going to be seeing a lot of great stuff coming out of Undying's channel.
Yes, for sure.
I hope so.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning of the stream, I really like some of those decks.
Yeah, I need something to take me away from the politics, the social politics I've been following lately in the culture war. Because I'm telling you, I'm just sitting here looking at it and going, win.
Yeah. Politics is not always the most fun to follow, you know?
Yeah.
You get sick of it.
You kind of get burnt out on how negative.
Like, it's directly affecting smaller channels like this one. I mean, hell, the Voxpocalypse that just wrecked everybody's face right now because one little.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that, but yes, I understand what you are saying. That is.
Hey, you picking up what I'm putting down? Because I'm not even sure what I'm doing right now. Woo! Oh, fuck, that's the wrong score.
It's a bad situation.
No way, you scumbags.
But, yeah. Thank you guys for hanging out.
I think the last thing I'll say about that before she signs off is, I think there's a war between old media and new media without even pointing fingers, and that's what's kind of going on.
Because old media is in its death thralls, and it's trying to take everybody down with it. And you know what's going to end up happening at the end of the day? It's just going to end up disappearing, and people are going to go and people are going to see the freaking Mathows of the world sitting on the corner begging for change, and they're going to come up and give them Canadian pennies.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Awesome.
They're going to be like, what am I going to do with this? And they're like, can't move.
Yeah, exactly. That's what's going on. I totally agree with you, and we'll just have to see how it pans out. I think it's going to pan out better for people, for small YouTubers and large YouTubers. I think it's not going to pan out well for old media. I think they're on the losing end, and they will continue to be on the losing end.
Yeah, we need to do more sponsorships for this channel.
Oh, yeah. That's it,
That'd
all
be
right.
great.
Yeah. But, all right, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But,
we love the community. So I just wanted to say we love you all.
Yes, thank you guys for sticking around the past couple of hours. I appreciate it. Undying, Sfara, Grim.
I got one last thing to say before we go.
Yes, sir.
Deathrite Shaman.
Oh,
Always. Always.
oh, Carl, sorry, man.
Hey, Carl's
That's
like
not-
not here anymore, so it's good to see him around. Gotta poke the fun when you can, you know?
I love Carl. I love me some Carl.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
Alright,
good night,
you guys.
everyone.
Yes, have a fantastic night, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging out. And, I will be in Discord if you guys want to chat and whatnot, like most of us will be. But thank you guys for hanging out the past couple of hours for Titan's Table. I appreciate it, and have a fantastic night, you guys.